Here's left. Pulls up, looking for the lead, and got it. Jalen Williams, 2 seconds, 111-109. Now SGA, probing, piercing, spinning, hanging for the lead, and SGA knocks it down. The Thunder finally get the defensive stop, and SGA puts them in front.
I'm Kenrich Williams. You're listening to Topic Thunder.
And welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Top Thunder Podcast. I'm your host, Dylan Hunsinger at Thunder Chats. We're part of the B-Lead Network, and this podcast is brought to you by the good folks at FanDuel Sportsbook. Been a little bit of a hiatus for the Topic Thunder Podcast. That was kind of unintentional, also like a little bit intentional. The last time we recorded was with our good friends at Nerd Sesh, Carson Logan. Me, myself, and Focus did. I think it was 2 weeks ago from today. So that's the last time that we actually got a podcast out. No, not today. God, it feels like a Friday because I don't go to work tomorrow.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, never mind. It was a week and a half ago. My mistake. Last week, for what reason or another, nobody wanted to podcast after the Spurs game, understandably so, the first Spurs game. And then after that, I think it was just really late, that Wolves game. We had a couple that could. Not everybody got to watch the game. I fell asleep during the game, so it was like, don't feel like putting that out there. We're playing Christmas. This is going to be our Christmas break type thing. So even though we lost tonight, spoiler alert, we're here. I mean, we can't dodge you anymore. Like, we are here to talk about the Thunder. We're here to talk about everything going on. And hey, as you can see, I'm joined with the man, the myth, the legend, the Underscone. He is no longer a floating C on the screen. It is Cone.
Yeah, I'm trying to connect my phone to use as a camera because I'm visiting my family for Christmas, and usually I use my phone, which looks a lot better quality than this, but for some reason it won't switch over. So this is what we're doing for right now. I'm doing all right. I'm doing fine. A lot of people are panicking, freaking out. It's the way it goes. We ran into this last season too. I'm sure you remember the reaction after we had that game where we blew the lead against the Wolves. We were up like 15, 18 points, it felt like, in the fourth quarter, I think it was. And we ended up losing that game. Like, there were a few moments people panicked last season. We're fine. Have definitely not been playing our best basketball, though. So, interested to hear your opinions on it and talk a little bit about it. But good to be back. Good to be back, talking hoops and things like that. After the Friday game against the Wolves, I was actually, I was on my way back from Madison Square Garden. Got to go there with my brother, my fiance, and my brother's girlfriend, which was super cool. They came up and visited New York, and we got Thunder Christmas Day hoops in a couple days, which is exciting. My family's going to get to watch Thunder basketball on Christmas. They have no choice. Sorry. But yeah.
I really thought we was about to get a Top of Thunder podcast tip pick plug there for a second, but
no, I held off.
It's all good. Yeah. No, as we mentioned, the Thunder have played 3 games since we last podcasted, and it's kind of been tale of two cities in those 3 games. It was the best times, it was the worst of times. The worst of times, obviously, both losses to the Spurs, one of which being in the NBA Cup, which, depending who you ask, means something, doesn't mean a lot. Like, who knows? Who knows how you feel about the Cup? Either way, we lost in the Cup to the San Antonio Spurs, and they ultimately would also lose to the New York Knicks. After that, we defeated the Los Angeles Clippers at home after 5 days rest, and did so after that was kind of like the bounce back victory after the Spurs debacle, and it was great because we got back on the right track, but also it helped our draft pick a little bit more. Shout out to the Clippers, who are currently in a tight battle with the Rockets. So I'm going to need the Rockets to tighten up tonight, or I'm going to I will crash out on stream.
We want to talk about struggles. Houston's been we're losing at least good teams. Houston lost to they lost to the Pelicans. They lost to the Mavs recently. They just lost to the Kings? Yeah, if you want to talk about panic meet over in Houston, that's if you want to panic, you can talk about Houston. But
yeah, I mean, dude, it's the NBA. Like, there's so many good teams. Even
all this stuff is the exact stuff why I said I didn't think we were going to break the record.
Yeah, no, I mean, for sure. And the odds were stacked against us, and it looked really good to start out because, kind of like Dolan likes to say, basketball gods, give us your best shot. You already gave us your best shot. We don't care. We're not scared of you, kind of thing, because we weren't healthy for the longest time. And ironically enough, when we were at our most healthy is when we started to, kind of go on this losing streak. It's when we started dropping games. It was when everything kind of that looked like it was in sync both offensively and defensively kind of fell out of sync. And, people have their opinions on what that is, what that isn't. But I don't know, man. Like the one constant, in all of this has been Shai. Like he is still like the MVP with a bullet, best player in the world. Like the Clippers game the other night, like it got closer than we would have liked to, but like Shai showed up in the fourth quarter, like he does in the clutch, like he always does, and just went to work, just like dressed them down, bucket after bucket until we scored enough points to actually end up covering the spread. I think he checked back in; it was like a 4 or 5 point game, something like that. And of course, I tweeted out the customary cape on too, and he put the cape on, and he does every night. Puts the cape on every night. Like he was battling against the Timberwolves, like he was going bar for bar with everybody out there, and he just couldn't get help. It's the Spurs game, like both Spurs game. Like he is the leading scorer. Like he struggled a little bit more in the Cup game, but tonight he was phenomenal, and like he just couldn't get anybody to help him out. And,
even the Cup game, 29, 12 of 13 shooting.
Right. Like, yeah. Like the big thing with that was I think he had the most turnovers of the season at that point, and also like it was his worst 3-point shooting game of the season, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. He was 1 of 7 from 3.
Yeah. Yeah. So that, and like you said, like if that's his worst game, like, so be it. Like that's something we'll live with. Like 9 times out of 10, we're going to be able to win that game, but 9 times out of 10, you need somebody to step up and, help and pick up the slack at that point. And for whatever reason, it hasn't felt like that's been the case. And, we talk about guys that have been returning from injury. Obviously, Dub returning from the wrist injury. Dort's kind of been in and out of the lineup with the adductor strain. I think Caruso's had, similar stuff going on. Wiggins, of course, Hartenstein and Chet missed the other night against the Clippers. Like we've had pretty much everybody in the lineup except for Shai has been like, in and out of the lineup more than 2 games. Shai, of course, missed that 1 game like right before the Cup. But yeah, man, it's I understand. I would say like, I was going to ask you like, what's your level on the panic meter? And obviously like, talking to you and knowing you, I know that it's not going to be like anything even above like a 4 or anything like that.
I mean,
I don't know where I would put a number because I wouldn't say that I'm worried, but I would say that I'm starting to have a little bit of concern.
2, 1, maybe like it's, there's no reason to worry at all. I think some of the bigger issues right now are number one, offense has not been as fluid. I think AJ is someone who really helps against the Spurs matchup specifically. We definitely needed another ball handler, another creator to get downhill and open things up a little bit because they're packing the paint. We shot 40% from 3, but it was 33s, knocking out 14. It's not that crazy a volume. And a few of those threes came. Chris Youngblood hit one, like game is over kind of stuff. So the biggest issue was just live ball turnovers. The Thunder really don't do that. I felt like there was a lot of indecisiveness really, and that is something that did pop up in the playoffs a little bit. That is something we run into sometimes where guys feel like they want to find the best shot and not don't really want to take like a contested look all that much. Like there was one play I remember specifically where it was like someone got to Dub swung it from the elbow over to Case in the quarter, and he had a moment where he could take a 3, but Wemby was closing out a little bit, and Case had plenty of time to go ahead and shoot it over him, but he hesitated to the point where he no longer had the ability, and then swung it back out, and the shot clock's winding down, and I think Dub either turned it over. I think that he had to force up a long contested 2, which I don't love the long contested 2s either, but there are also a number of times in this game and a multitude of games where Dub's just kind of been forced into that look. I think right now we're going through some clear growing pains because we're figuring out how to maximize Dub with the personnel because, it's the same guys from last year, but we've been playing a little bit different. AJ Mitchell coming in, I think, does make a difference. Still trying to maximize double big, which that is something I would like to see a little bit more. It feels like we haven't really been seeing double big all that much recently. Like Hartenstein, they started together tonight, but after that, like we very rarely saw the double big lineup, and especially against Wemby, that's something I would like to see. But I think it's also a little bit of like Mark likes to experiment, especially against these really good teams, and see what works because, the Spurs, it's a chance we play them in the playoffs, like whether it's a Western Conference Finals or the second round or, whatever. They're not going to be an 8 seed, so it won't be the first round, but that's a team we could very much run into, and for years down the line could run into. So there's some experimentation. Like Isaiah Joe didn't really play, I think, at all in the third quarter, and I was like, I would have liked to see him out there, but
he was great in the first half.
Yeah, he was awesome. Isaiah Joe's great, and I think it seems like Mark wanted to try a little bit more. Like he switched Shea's rotation up tonight. Like we're playing a team that beat us last time, and he's like, let's go ahead and mess with Shea's rotation and see what happens. So I'm after coming off a championship, I'm never going to take a single regular season game too seriously. Like I know what we're capable of. There are, it's not a perfect team. It's not a team that has no weaknesses. There are currently weaknesses with, outside of Shea, the offense can sputter a little bit sometimes, especially with some of that decision making. But the Spurs are also just one of the better teams in the Western Conference, in the NBA as a whole. I mean, they're the 2 seed right now, right behind us. So it's understandable you're going to lose some of these games. This was only the first time where we got blown out. Like if we were getting blown out left and right by these types of teams, like say the last Spurs loss was a blowout, this one was a blowout, then I'd feel a little bit weirder about it. But the first one was a close loss where it came down to like 1 or 2 shots. And it was the first game where Jada was getting integrated and we had everybody back in the starting lineup. And also I think Isaiah Joe's an absolutely huge difference maker in this matchup as well. And this, the game against the Wolves also came down to just a couple of shots here or there. And Ant hit just an unbelievable shot over perfect defense from Casey Wallace. Like it's just, he's a superstar. He's a top 10 player in the world. It's going to happen sometimes. And this is kind of stuff like why I've been saying for a while, I didn't think we were going to break the record this season. We're not going to break the record. We can get up to 70 wins and, 68, like that type of range is where I pictured a majority of the year because, there's going to be variance. There's going to be 3-point shooting. Like tonight, Keldon Johnson had like 4 or 5 threes and his percentage is up on the season, but he's definitely not been like super knocked down this season, especially not last year. Stephon Castle's like a 8% 3-point shooter, I think. He hit like 3 threes in the first game against us. He had 3 or 4 tonight. And, some of those were open. I do think the fatigue showed a little bit. Like there were a number of moments where, guys just didn't really close out on shooters all that much, or it was a bad rotation or a bad decision. I think, the team just didn't play their best tonight. And it's going to happen. We were never going to go 16-0 in the playoffs. They're still the championship favorites. They're going to go back to back and they are the best team in the NBA, but it's also the NBA. And the Spurs are really, really good. And they're a new team, a young team that we're still trying to figure out exactly how we match up with. And they remind me a lot of the Thunder over the last couple of years where they've got this top 5 player and a team that's young, but not really afraid of anybody. They're not afraid of us. And it's understandable because they're really, really good and they're really talented. And when you've got a guy like Wemby on your side, you shouldn't be afraid of anybody. But I think it's just a puzzle that we're still trying to solve. And again, if we were getting blown out, I'd be like, sure. But if you're losing by 1 or 2 possessions in the NBA, that's also just the NBA.
Yeah. And, as I say a lot of the times, like context is key. Like this is second I have a back-to-back on the road. And knowing
which was the same thing with the Wolves game as well, by the way. It was the second half of back-to-back on the road.
And the Blazers game. Like all of our losses, except
which won't be in the playoffs. And I think that fatigue showed a little bit in this game.
Yeah, like all of our losses, with the exception of the first Spurs game, was on the second half of back-to-back. So, but also this is a team that you're going to play in 2 more days in your home crowd on national television, like with all the eyeballs. Like you talk about like national audience, like putting on a show for like the world. Like this is the game that you like want to like put out your best performance. So, I obviously like I don't think that this team has it in them to hold back, but I could, Mark, like you said, Mark was getting a little bit funky with his lineups, a little bit funky with his rotation, doing a little bit of experimenting. And, even if we lose on Christmas Day, I might crash out. I won't lie to you. Like I'll be pretty upset at that point. But this is, as you said, this is a team that we are likely, on a collision course to face in the second round of the playoffs. And if nothing else, this is an opportunity to get as much film as we possibly can with as many different looks as we possibly can against this team because, we are still trying to figure it out. I don't think anybody's figured out Victor Wembanyama. There was some people that thought that they figured out, defensive coverages early in the year with it. But as Wemby, that was kind of for the betterment of the Spurs because, in that little lull and also in Wemby's injury, the Spurs figured out how to play together, specifically their 3-guard trio of, Castle, Fox, and Dylan Harper. And then the role players, like, these guys are playing a role now. Like Vassell is like a dangerous 3-point shooter now. Keldon Johnson, like, now he's not like a top 3 player on the team. He's just a guy that's like, go get open shots, go rebound, go play defense. Like it's simplified for them. And once Wemby was able to come back, it all just like cycles around him. So it makes sense why they're rolling. I think I saw that they've won 7 in a row now. So I believe they hold the longest win streak in the NBA right now.
Yeah, they've got the longest one right now.
Yeah, so and to your point, talking about Keldon Johnson, he hit 5 threes tonight. His highest this season, going into tonight was 3. It's just guys shooting above their heads. He tied a season high with 25 points.
Some contested looks in there too. Like Keldon's very capable. I mean, both games the Spurs have just had ridiculously good timely shot making. And that is both something that could potentially dry up in other matchups, but also is a testament to how good they are at the same time. I understand it's not fun to lose to the same team twice in a row, like especially for a team that is so accustomed to winning the way that we are as Thunder fans. But you also got to remember that like it is the NBA, it's a really good team, and again, it's the second half of back-to-backs where both these losses have happened. Not both at home or anything, or both on the road. It's a home to a road. Like OKC to San Antonio is not that much of travel, but especially when you play a very frantic type of play style that the Thunder do, I think it wears on the Thunder a little bit more than some teams sometimes, because it's dudes diving all over the place. It's, 100% effort max, getting passing lanes, get out there and go type of energy from OKC every single night. Plus, they played the Game 7 of the NBA Finals. They didn't exactly get a lot of rest over the summer. So I think you see a little bit of that fatigue, especially in some of these games. And I'm never going to have any like real, oh my gosh, it's the end of the world takeaways from a game on the second half of a back-to-back against a really good team. You can't bother me to care that much about that.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. So like on the season, we force 18 turnovers a game, which is obviously the highest in the NBA. Tonight specifically, the Spurs only had they had 15 turnovers. So I think some of those were actually in garbage time. Because I looked at I'm looking at Thunder. Sorry, they had 8 turnovers. Yeah, so that's the first tonight's matchup. I don't think they did as well the last time they played us, but they still did a really good job protecting the ball. I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah, this is a team that they have that crazy ball pressure and those great defensive guards. They've kind of tried to replicate a little bit of our model a little bit. Mm-hmm. Like they force us into more turnovers than usual as well, and they've done a good job protecting the ball.
Yeah, they actually had 19 in the cup, which was kind of shocking. But yeah, tonight it matched the eye test a little bit more, just 8 turnovers, and that's one of our superpowers. As I wrote in that article that I wrote about, Lu Dort and Kasem, like one of our superpowers is creating turnovers and getting out in transition. And I was just looking at turnovers. I didn't even look at transition points or anything like that, but if we're not able to turn teams over, like that's how we get into our offense outside of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. That's how we get into our offense when Shai is off the floor, like period. That's why you see the defensive rating numbers jump whenever Shai is off the floor, because the guys are, kind of risking it all to go for the basketball and try to create a turnover and try to create a fast break opportunity.
Yeah. And I mean, it's also – the Thunder have a very high floor in the defensive end, but the offense definitely, jumps a little bit. But because of that high floor in the defensive end, they might sometimes the games might end up a little bit closer than they should be, or sometimes it's like they got to gut it out a little bit. But it also leads to games like we see, especially against like the Clippers or against the Grizzlies, where things can just, even though they're kind of close, they get out of hand very, very fast. And I do also think Dub coming back has stagnated the offense a little bit, but I think it's because that they're trying to reintegrate him, and he clearly is not himself yet. Like, he really struggled to get past a number of the defenders on the Spurs tonight. Stephon Castle, who's a really good defender. Same thing with like a Harrison Barnes. Like, some of those guys that are, strong, bigger, like even smaller, just have really good hands, like this great defensive team. He was just not really getting downhill and getting past him the way that he usually does. I think the conditioning is not there yet for Dub, who didn't play a majority of the start of the season, and he just seems a little bit out of rhythm. He's still trying to integrate himself, and has had some really, really good games in there. I think the defense has been typical Dub, like ridiculous standards, but the offense is still coming along. And obviously, the defense helps, but we're already an elite defensive team. What we need is his offense. And I think him and having AJ Mitchell back out there, hopefully for Christmas, he gets, out of concussion protocols, the present for AJ on Christmas, but that's something that will come along throughout time. It's going to take time to integrate. Yeah, I mean, yeah, if it means grabbing some wins and going back to back, AJ can have mine too. Um, but yeah, like it's going to take time. I don't think it was never going to be a linear process with integrating a player like Dub, who is so important to what this team does. I think it was easier to integrate Chet last year because he was never been as involved in the offense specifically as a ball handler. It's he's an off-ball player majority, and this season he's done a little bit more of that. But I think Dub, especially against Victor Wembanyama, where Chet's offense is going to be neutralized a little bit more because it's harder for him to get to like that turnaround mid-range jumper and stuff because Wemby has so much height. We need a little bit more from Dub, and I think that's something that's going to come along with his conditioning. Like this is a matchup specifically where I think we need a lot of Jalen Williams and some really good performances from him, and I believe they'll come along. He's just still getting into game shape.
Yeah, Chet did have the one go in and out like right out of halftime. Wemby was on the floor, but that would have been huge for the confidence.
That three he hit on the one where he pump faked and that was an awesome shot, by the way. Like that's super cool. I could not have seen Chet doing that like a couple years ago.
That was like Shea-esque. Like all it was missing was the pirouette, and that would have been Shea's piston shot from last year.
Yeah.
I looked it up. That we actually only had 5 fast break points tonight, which matches the eye test. And I'm trying to see. We average. Where's that? We average 14.2 a game. But it is worth noting that the Spurs are actually second in the league on opponent fast break points at 12.4, trailing just us at 11.3. So
they're very similar to us. Like they play a similar brand of. I mean, there was a number of teams that were trying to copy us. The Suns kind of are doing that too. Like that's their whole thing. The Spurs have a little bit of that model as well. Like it's a copycat league, and when you see a team dominate the way that the Thunder did, and have this all-time defense, and trying these strategies, like it's something. And they were the aggressors tonight. Like the Thunder should have gotten more free throws for sure. Like they shot 7 on the entire night. There was. Yeah, it's not as many times that the Thunder got fouled. They definitely deserved a few more calls, but also the Spurs were just kind of more physical. They were more aggressive. They were the ones getting downhill and forcing the issue. Like I felt like the Thunder settled a lot for some of those mid-range jumpers, and just didn't really play their typical brand of basketball. And the free throws suck, but I also think there's a way we could have generated more of those, and they're not the only reason we lost. Like people try to say the only reason the Thunder win because of free throws, which is just absolutely never the case because it was one of the worst free throw differentials. But the Thunder absolutely should have got more free throws, 100% in this game. It was a bad whistle for them. There was that one where Keldon Johnson hit Chet with the too small, or said he was like a little boy or something like that after he elbowed him in the mouth, and they had to stop the game because he was bleeding. Like those are calls the Thunder should get. And sometimes they're not going to go our way. It's the way it works. It happens to other teams against us as well, but it's not the reason why we lost.
Yeah, I got a Keldon Johnson theory. There's some similarities with Keldon Johnson and another 6'7", 6'8" wing player that likes to hit threes against us. Keldon Johnson, PJ Washington both played on the Kentucky team and were teammates with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Just saying there's some kind of correlation there to those guys going off against the Thunder and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So we got to get to the bottom of this, and we gotta figure it out, and we gotta shut it down. But I do want to talk about Dub really quick because obviously he's the subject of much chagrin. I too, especially there in the fourth quarter, whenever it really felt like, as it did much of the game, really felt like the only offense we had going was Shai. It feels like there's a lot of possessions in which we don't make enough of an effort to get Shai the basketball. Whether that is, Shai's just trusting his teammates, absolutely could be. Whether it's conserving Shai's energy, whatever it may be, or just diversifying the offense so they don't load up 4 guys on Shai. It feels like even if Dub is the guy to get the shot, it feels like when he gets the ball, I mean, I'll just say it, to be frank, it feels like he dribbles the air out of the ball and he forces a contested follow away shot. And that's been the one frustrating part with Dub for me. I feel like, in the games that we're winning, it feels like the best of Dub is happening. You look at the Clippers game the other night, he was getting to the rim, he was finishing through traffic, he was dunking, he was hitting threes, like we talked about earlier, he shot 6 threes. That's what we want to see out of Dub. And then you see tonight where he kind of reverts back to, forcing those mid-range jumpers and whatnot. And I think that I figured it out. As you can see, underneath my name, it says Santa Season. I think I know why Dub has been struggling, specifically in the month of December, because that is when he came back, obviously. It's because I haven't referred to him as his given nickname all year. But I've stopped doing it, throughout the year. I've started just doing it in December, but I haven't done it once this December. He won a ring, he dropped 40 in the finals. We'll get the Santa thing a rest, just for. Yeah. But I don't know, man. You're struggling. I feel like you need it. I don't have the video to play. I'm really sad. The video was awesome. I should have made another one for this very reason, but
it's okay.
Listen, it's 12:02 a.m. right now. It is Christmas Eve. All right. Tomorrow's
Happy Christmas
Day.
Eve.
Hey, Dub, you're going to have a busy night tonight. We all know it. All right.
Yeah.
Santa, you're going to have a very busy night. Tomorrow, I want you to be well rested. I want you to have your milk and cookies, whatever it takes for you to have the best possible game, and just go up there, climb up the ladder, come down the chimney, dunk on some people's heads, get your cookies, get those guys some milk. Like we need Santa to show up on national television against the Spurs on Christmas. That's what we need. So this is me, my public service announcement. Santa, we need you.
Real quick, I want to talk about something in the chat real quick. But the Santa thing, it's so funny. You were like, oh, I think I know what the problem is. And I was like, oh, did Dylan find a fix? I forgot you were doing the Santa thing on this episode. Jared in the chat said, super worried the championship was a fluke. There's never been a fluke championship in the history of championships. It's never happened. You cannot fluke your way to a championship in the NBA. To say that is so insane that any championship ever is a fluke. But no, this every team's going to get blown out. We got, do y'all remember in the chat when we lost to the 5-win Pistons last year and got blown out? Or not last year, the year prior? Like the year that we lost in the second round, but we're the 1 seed, we lost the 5-win Pistons. Last year, what was the loss? We had one really bad loss in there. I can't remember what the... Also, 73-9 Warriors lost to... That's the one I always go to. They lost the Warriors or the Lakers, who won 16 games that season in kind of convincing fashion. I mean, we blew a lead to the Timberwolves. Yeah, the Wolves are really good, but we were up 18 and they didn't have Anthony Edwards and anybody, and they beat us with Jalen Clark and Terrence Shannon. It's the NBA. It's gonna happen. And we lost to the Bucks last year in blowout fashion in the NBA Cup final. The Bucks were bad. They were a first-round exit team. So y'all got to calm down. Y'all.
Yeah.
To ask if a championship is a fluke is completely absurd. The Lakers destroyed us in a game last year, and then they were a first-round exit because they weren't very good. It's the NBA. You can lose to anybody on any given night, and the Spurs are a really, really good team. Y'all gotta. There was someone who commented in my comments, and I thought they were baiting, but it looked like they actually are a Thunder fan, so I don't know if they were or not. But they were like, should we trade Chet and J-Dub and try and, reset the season and go back at it next year? I'm like, you cannot be serious.
I think I might know who that was.
You cannot be serious, man. We just...
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really have, any crazy losses last season. It was Nuggets, Warriors, Mavs, Spurs, Rockets, Cavs, Mavs, Warriors, Wolves, Nuggets, Rockets, Lakers. And, a couple of those teams, we ended up playing in the playoffs. And, we ended up winning in the playoffs.
It's the same thing where people are saying, ooh, I'm worried about the Spurs in a series. They're a really good team. Yeah, they would be an issue. Yeah, of course, Jay. It's hard, it's hard sometimes with a team this good, and especially when you see them get blown out, it's just jarring. Yeah, I get that 100%, Jay. No, you're good. But what I was going to say is, where was I going with that? What did I just say?
I don't know, man. I'm sorry.
How did I lose it already? People are saying, worried about the Spurs in a playoff series. I think we're perfectly fine. They're a good team. You also have to remember they're a hyper inexperienced team, and the playoffs are especially where that shows. And the Thunder's physicality is even upped in the playoffs. The playoff physicality jump benefits the Thunder in a big way. And also Shea is just going to be the best player on the court. I think the Spurs have some guys who've been able to knock down big shots against us. I think in the playoffs they're going to see some of that shooting regress. We could also see some shooting regression for sure. We saw it last year. But overall, I think we'd be fine in a series against the Spurs. It would probably be, I'd have Thunder in maybe 6 games, 5 games if we played our best brand of basketball. Again, last year against the Wolves, I think we lost 2 out of 4 games to the Wolves. I think we lost 2 out of 4. I know we lost to them.
Yeah, 2 out of 4.
Yeah, we lost 2 out of 4, and then we beat them in 5 in the playoffs. Like,
Mhm.
y'all gotta. It's a completely different animal when you get to the playoffs. It's very very different. But yeah, like it'll be fine. Imagine Shea with actual spacing, man. I mean, Matt, we're actually a pretty good 3-point shooting team. There are some of these nights where, like, I mean, we shot 40% from three. The issue is more so that we need to be able to generate those paint looks better and get more open looks. But also, it's got to be. I think something for some reason it feels like we've went away from the lob after we used it a lot at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
And I wish I had like the frequency numbers on that, but I feel like that's something we could utilize more. It's harder against Victor Wembanyama because he can break up basically any lob by literally just existing in this plane of reality. But that's something I'd like to see us go back to a little bit more because I felt like when you throw those passes low into the arms of these Spurs defenders, it can get kind of clunky sometimes.
Yeah, it feels like the ball isn't humming as much as it was either. Like it feels like we was, doing swing to the extra pass, passing up a good shot for a better shot. Just like ball on a string early on in the season. And like, you touched on a little bit, some of the plays that we was making, like the indecisiveness. Something that I kind of pointed out on Twitter, to that point was just felt like we was making like unnecessary, like just boneheaded, risky passes. Like that's what a lot of our turnovers were. That and like, just loose handle. And it's like if you just tighten up those parts of your game, like you're probably fine. It's just that's why like it feels like this game, obviously the other Spurs game and the Wolves game, like it feels like we shot ourselves in the foot so many times. And like who's to say that is, that's the difference between winning and losing? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about, like, playing our best basketball. We're talking about playing Thunder basketball. And, if you just keep, like, having these self-incriminating mistakes, you're not playing Thunder basketball. You're not being the best version of yourself. And we know that this team is better. So,
yeah. It's been a little bit up. We kind of had a similar up and down stretch last season towards the beginning of the year. We were dealing with more injuries.
Yeah.
In that when we were kind of without bigs.
So big man, yeah.
But I mean, it's also like, it's also teams are now, we are the target. Like we're going to get every team's best shot every single night. Not that we weren't getting it last season, but like this year, the Thunder are the champions and they start off really, really hot. And people get up for this game. So, I'm not saying the Thunder don't get up for games. I 100% believe that they do, but it is like teams are going 100% hard intensity. Like you see the way the Spurs are playing out there. Like they're going crazy every time. It was like a playoff atmosphere in the building. That's the loudest Spurs fans have been all season. They actually they get pretty loud. Credit to them. Spurs fans and their games. Like it's been fun to watch this season. Wemby at one point in the offseason said he wanted to try and get like a European type atmosphere in Spurs arenas. And it sounded like it's like they were chanting for a majority of the game. I've been very, very impressed. But like that was the loudest I've heard it. And I've watched a lot of Spurs games this season. Teams and fans get up for this squad. It's the Thunder. They're the champions. They've got the MVP of the league. Like people are going to come for our necks. That's the way it is as champions. And someone commented, I think it was after the loss to the Spurs in the Cup. They're like, I kind of miss when we were the underdogs. I'm like, I don't. I'd much rather, deal with this and be hated when we're the champions,
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, shout out to the Spurs home crowd. That new tradition they have with the whole drum clap. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw it after the game. It's
pretty fire.
Yeah, it is. And again, it speaks to like they debuted it after they beat us. Like, I think they would have done it the next win that they got, but it's like, they've won some home games recently. Like they could have debuted them, but they were like, we're going to debut it tonight. Like they get it for the Thunder. Wemby especially. Like he clearly doesn't like Chet. He wants to beat this team. He wants to be the best. He's got all the tools to potentially be one of the greatest to ever play the game of basketball. And he's a guy, and this is a team we're going to run into a lot. It's going to become a rivalry. I wouldn't say it's there yet because, we're the champions at the moment. We haven't played in the playoffs, but it's budding. And, we get a playoff series this year, a really close back and forth one. It's probably already the best rivalry in the NBA. It's going to get up there in that conversation. And it's cool. Like that's the pressure. Yeah. That's the stuff you want. We dreamed of this when we were the fans of, teams that are winning like 18, 20 games on the season. And those couple years where the Thunder were really, really terrible. This is where you want to be. And so it's nice that we get to obsess over every loss. It's nice that we get to obsess over the 4 losses we have on the season right now. It's great.
Yeah. And the inevitable playoff series will be absolutely fire. Like it'll be instant classics because, these are two teams that are going to match up with each other for like the next decade, basically, at basketball.
Yep.
So in the spirit of panicking, I've seen a lot of people talk about this, even some of the most like level-headed people talking about this on Twitter. You know, a panic move. There's a few players that are available for trade out there right now, Cone. Obviously, you're an NBA guy. You have your finger on the pulse of the league, unlike anybody else that we would have on this podcast. So, I want to ask you. I want to throw out a few names here, and I want you to tell me if you would entertain a trade for them or if we should just stand pat. Okay. One of them, Kentucky legend, got to throw him out. I think it was reported today. Malik Monk. I think he's not reigning Sixth Man of the Year, but he was former Sixth Man of the Year.
He was in contention. He's been up there in that conversation a few times. But yeah, I mean, I can't remember what he finished last year, but I know he was runner-up 2 years ago. I think Malik Monk would be cool. I'm definitely not opposed. He is, currently getting some DNPs. Like he's just not really playing all that much.
Yeah, the Kings
for the Kings, and he's been a really good shooter this season. He's someone who can create off the bounce. I'd be cool with Malik Monk. The contract is not too bad either. Like it's on a pretty attainable deal with Malik. I think he's making like 18 mil right now. Yeah, he's making $18 million. He's only 27 years old too. Like he's definitely not too old. I'm trying to remember. I guess I feel like I got to pull up Fanspo to see exactly what the numbers would look like for us to have to throw in there. But if there was something we could get done, I would definitely not hate the idea of a Malik Monk trade. Yeah, it's kind of hard with $18 million. I mean, Ooze. Yeah, it'd have to be like probably Ousmane Dieng
until it bleeds.
I know. I'm sorry. Ousmane Dieng, Topic, and like Kenrich, like those three guys get us there. Although I love Kenrich, I really don't want to give up Kenrich Williams or Ooze. I'm still a member of the Zhang gang. I'm all in. Honestly, the solution to all this is just Zhang gang. That we just need more Ousmane Dieng.
Unleash the Ooze, man.
Yeah, but that's a crazy sentence. Unleash the Ooze. Take that back. Don't ever say that again. But yeah, I think Malik Monk would be a really good addition to this team. Defensively, he doesn't bring a ton, but we've got so many defenders where it's probably fine.
I mean, listen, Isaiah Joe didn't bring a ton defensively when he first came here either. And
yeah, that's true. And it's a lot easier to defend in a good system that's not Sacramento.
And also, like, it's a lot easier to want to defend when you're on a team like this, where it's contagious, where it's expected, where your leaders are defending type thing. So, yeah, no, I'd be down for Monk. Obviously he's a prolific 3-point shooter. He's a prolific scorer off the bench, and also like he's an exciting player, man. Like he's like I love Aaron Wiggins. I love Isaiah Joe. Like they have athletic moments, but I'd say like Malik Monk is like he's like a top 10% like athlete in the NBA, and like we don't as athletic as Wiggins and Isaiah Joe are, they don't have athleticism like that guy. So he'd be a lot of fun. Somebody else that people have been throwing around, and I saw in the chat, and also I've seen a lot of people kind of throw around for the Lakers specifically. A guy formerly known as a shea stopper, Herb Jones.
Yeah, I mean, Herb's awesome. You want to talk about a guy that fits the defense. Herb is that. I think Herb's a better player at times than Malik Monk. I think I'd take Malik Monk over Herb Jones. I don't really, because Herb's going to cost you more. Herb is going to cost like a first-round pick or two, because the Pelicans, that's what they're going to ask for him, because they know that some teams that need defense desperately will pay a premium. Herb's not really a three-point shooter like that. He's at 34% of the season right now. Not really like a movement type of shooter, more just stationary corner, sometimes wing kind of guy. I think we've got guys like that can knock down threes on this team, and they're not as good as defenders as Herb Jones, but I'd rather get a bit more of an offensive punch. I don't really think we need to make a deal all that much, but if we make one, I think I'd rather go for an archetype of a Malik Monk than a Herb Jones, especially for the price.
Okay. Yep. Absolutely fair. Let's see here. I was looking at a couple other names before I bring up, the inevitable one that people want to talk about. I don't think there is any more unless you wanted to. Well, I did bring this up to you. We talk about Keldon Johnson, and we talk about his counterpart, PJ Washington. Obviously, the Mavericks are kind of playing some really good basketball here recently, but PJ is kind of not falling out of the rotation, but he's not as prominent in the rotation as he used to be. Would that be a player that, the Thunder could, sneakily acquire? Like I've been begging to for, 7 years.
I don't think so. I'm not really in on PJ. As Thunder fans might think it's insane. Like, they might not believe me when I say this. He's not really a three-point shooter. As crazy as it sounds after what he did to us in the playoffs. PJ's not really a three-point shooter. He's, sub 35% on the season right now. He wasn't a shooter last year, or last year he got up to 38 late in the season, but especially at the beginning of the year, he was not really a shooter. Even the year that he torched us in the playoffs, he was a 32.4% shooter with Charlotte before he came over to Dallas. Or guess what? His 3-point percentage spiked all the way down to 31.4%. So he's just not a shooter like that. He's a good player, like defensively, he's pretty solid. Would give some size that, kind of that big, like not big wing necessarily, but just big, like the tweener kind of spot.
Yeah.
I think he'd be a nice piece, but I don't really feel like moving pieces for him. I'd rather just have the continuity of the roster. I see Matt in the chat saying Trey Murphy. I'm not really a Trey Murphy guy all that much, which is crazy because I went to UVA.
Man.
Like, you'd think I'm a Trey Murphy guy. I really like Trey Murphy. Listen, I really like Trey Murphy. He's awesome. He is a good player for sure. And he's having a really good season. 20.6 points, 36.6% from three, almost 50% from the field. Like, that's a career high. He's close to 50, 40, 90. He's in that conversation. Trey Murphy is awesome, but the contract is big. You want to talk about guys that really don't defend all that much. Trey's really not a defender like that. Also, the finishing for him is not really there either. He struggles as a finisher at the rim. And also, the asking price is going to be absurd. You're going to have to pay a ton for Trey Murphy. And in reality, I would just rather have the guys I think on the roster right now than having to give up multiple first-round picks for Trey and then have to pay him that big contract. So,
okay. I don't really think that we will trade for this guy. This is a guy that we've talked about a lot, but my Cats are currently rolling a ball around, and they're going to wake up Nova, so I'm going to go grab that before he does that. Talk about Lauri Markkanen.
Yeah, I mean, Lowry, you want to talk about someone who would be so good for this team. Lowry is in that. And yeah, we talked a lot about the Lauri Markkanen trade. Doesn't seem like the Jazz are going to move him, that they've just kind of decided to stand pat on keeping Lowry at this point. They've decided to be a little bit more competitive. Lowry's awesome, though. 28 points a night, actually down to 34.6% from three. He's been having a really big cold streak right now, 2 of 9, 1 of 6, 3 of 10 his last 3 games. That percentage is better. He's a definite better shooter than that. He's also has to do a lot also offensively. So in a better context here, he would be better off. But one guy like that I would be willing to give up significant assets for is Lauri Markkanen. I think Lowry is awesome. He's a really, really good player. You've got to make the salary work, and that is kind of the tough part of it. It would have to be, obviously I'm not giving up J-Dub or Chet. Like, that's just not happening. But, like, you could, I think, make it work. I'm going to pull up Fanspo real quick and see if I can. I think you can make it work with... I don't want to trade Lou, but like theoretically, you could trade Lou. Also, shout out to Lou, who I feel like we didn't talk about him very much, but Lou had an awesome game tonight.
He did, but he also God,
the kick out 3 was bad. Yeah, that was bad.
Nice.
You can get pretty close with Lou, Kenrich, and Ooze. You might have to give up like an Aaron Wiggins in there. Definitely don't want to give up Isaiah Joe. I think his shooting is so valuable to this team, and Zay's just been so good. You could get there. It's just hard. Or you could try and make a 3-teamer work. Like, there are ways to go ahead and get it done. But I just don't think the Jazz are trading him at all. It feels like they've decided that, hey, we want to be somewhat competitive. I mean, they're a play-in team. We're right there in the play-in race right now. I think they've fallen out of the play-in. Yeah, because the Mavs have been playing really, really well. But 10-19, they're not out of it. They're still kind of in that conversation. So yeah, it's not happening. I see in the chat, how about retrading for Trey Man? I love Trey. He's just not very good right now. I love Trey Man with all my heart, but he's been pretty bad so far this season. It just wouldn't make any sense. So yeah.
Would be fun, but for like blowouts and stuff. All right, the big name everybody wants to talk about. This is a name that's been circulated. Alex has been on trading for this guy for a long time, but he has gone on record saying that he would not do it now. So, Cone, what say you? Should we trade for the Wemby stopper, Giannis Antetokounmpo?
Man, would that be insane? Imagine that. Imagine the world where we make the Giannis trade. First of all, I want to say it's not feasible at all. There's just no world where it would happen. the Thunder are not moving off of this timeline and moving off of these guys, especially post-championship. There is no world where a team post-championship is making that big of a trade. Like, say we go into the playoffs this year and for some reason just suck and get like first rounded or second rounded or something in big bad fashion, then maybe I could see a world where it happens. Or if we lost last year and, lost out like second round or something. But it's just not feasible. Is Giannis going to want to play in Oklahoma City? I don't really know. I mean, he's been playing in Milwaukee. It's not this huge market or anything, but the report was that he wanted to go to New York and he wanted to play for the Knicks this summer. It's not a Presti type of move. It doesn't make sense. If I'm now, let's say I'm the GM, I still don't think I go for it. Giannis would be awesome, but we've talked about the shooting of the team, the spacing. Giannis definitely does not help the spacing at all. Like he is a really good defender, but we're also already one of the better defenses ever. The size would be, awesome if we especially, say we're able to get away. We're not going to be able to get away without giving up Chet or Jalen Williams, unless Giannis says, I want to go play in Oklahoma City. And has that ever happened? Like, no superstar has ever been like, get me to OKC right now. As much as I love Oklahoma City and this team, it's unrealistic. It's not going to happen. Isaiah Hartenstein's our biggest signing ever, and Hart's awesome, but he's not Giannis level. Okay, now my ring light has decided to freak out. There we go. It was flashing. I was going to start giving people epileptic warnings. He would have to say he wants to go here to get away without trading J-Dub and Chet. So it's not happening. But say there was a world where it did, it'd be Isaiah Hartenstein, it'd be Lou Dort, it'd be, I think, Wiggs gets it there, and then like $1 million first-round picks. Like maybe the Clippers pick this year. Just doesn't make any sense.
The chat is talking about trading for Wemby. That's not happening, guys.
Yeah. Let's revisit that in a few years down the line if the Spurs end up struggling, which doesn't seem very realistic. But yeah, the Giannis trade thing, I mean, it'd be insane. Like, it would literally be the biggest move in the history of the sport. If the Thunder currently as constructed trade for Giannis, especially if we get away with not giving up Chet or Dub, it just doesn't make any sense. It's just not feasible. It's not a Presti move. It's not realistic. And I think it'd be the ultimate overreaction. Not that Giannis is an amazing player, but we have yet to see him work he only played with one like superstar guard in Dame, but it didn't work. The two of them just didn't really work as a duo. And we're talking about Shea, who is an elite three-point shooter so far this season, but his game is primarily in the arc, and Giannis, that's all his game is inside the arc. I just don't know if I love the fit all that much. And they're so talented, they'd figure it out. But then you really worry about the shooting, like if it's Shea, Dub, Chet, Giannis, all those guys theoretically can shoot outside of Giannis, but not insane volume 3-point shooting type of guys. And as dominant as they'd be talent wise, I think against a team like the Spurs, especially, they just like pack the paint a bunch and they'd force us to make threes even more so than they try to do tonight at times. Yeah,
the rim pressure would be absolutely crazy with Giannis and Shea. But I think part of the reason that it didn't work with a guy like Dame is because Giannis demands the basketball a lot. And that's kind of why we traded Josh Giddey, not because Giddey's not a good player. Like, he got a triple-double again tonight against the Bulls. I think he made a huge clutch play against the Hawks tonight and, called Trey too small, which is hilarious, by the way. But he was never going to get to that height because, rightfully so, we would rather Shea have the ball. Like, we would rather have the MVP. We'd rather have the best player in the league right now have the basketball. So, obviously, Giannis is much better than Giddey. Like, don't let me misspeak on that. But similar problems. Like, if the ball's in Giannis's hands, it in turn cannot be in Shea's hands. And, Giannis has shown the ability to, be a solid playmaker, but it kind of feels like Russell Westbrook playmaking. And this isn't like a down on Brody's playmaker or anything like that. But, Brody's kind of like, drive into a triple team and kick out to an open three. I'm like, that's his assist. Or like pick and roll alley-oop. Like Shea, Dub, guys like that, they're more of like, just like passing, like in the rhythm of the offense type of thing. So, again, it would be awesome, especially defensively. Like, it would be absolutely insane, especially, you keep Chet, you keep Dub, something like that. But, obviously this isn't 2K. This isn't something that would happen. It would be fun, but
the Giannis trade is a 2K move is the way I've always looked at it. Just not feasible. And I think it's just stacking like the best overalls you possibly can in 2K and being like, yeah, this team's going to win the championship. That's not how real basketball works. The talent's there, but you're taking the ball out of Shea's hands a lot and putting it in Giannis's, who's really good and generates really good offense for shooters. But like that's kind of already what Shea does. I think it just gets a little bit redundant in the form of a big, not a big, but Giannis is a big, whatever. Who cares? Like in the form of a much bigger body than Shea. I just don't really think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, no, I feel that. I feel that. I mean, there's no bigger name out on the market than Giannis, so I think that concludes our exercise. But before we get off here, as I mentioned, we do play the Spurs on Christmas Day. Our good folks, our good friends at FanDuel, they have odds already for this game. There's also prop bets. You could also already do prop bets for this game. So Cone, as I try to do anytime there's a no sweat bet, I want you to build a parlay with me here.
Okay.
I'll go and tell you. So the spread is 9.5 in favor of OKC. Just don't worry about point lines. Just stick to like alt lines. And I say what we do, like 2 legs each.
Sure, sounds good.
All right. Well, since you haven't just jumped up and grabbed it, I'm taking Shea 30. That's happening off rip. That is at minus 200. It's actually the odds have gone down. I think it was like minus 190 for tonight's game. So.
Yeah. Give me Thunder spread, minus 9.5. I think it's a big bounce back game for the team. I think it's one of those where it's close majority, but down the stretch, the crowd gets really into it. Shea hit some big shots, and they end up kind of just pulling away at the end to win by like 10 or 11. But I think it's like first 3 quarters and some change. It's like pretty back and forth. Nobody gets like a bigger lead than like 5 to 8. And then the Thunder kind of just pull away at the end.
Okay. I like it. Cone's going for Thunder B2A. So that is minus 110 as well. So, all right, it's back to me. Assuming iHeart is playing, I am taking him for, I'm really tempted to go 10 rebounds because he had 6 at halftime and he got 6 more like almost immediately. But I'm going to play it safe. I'm going to go 8 rebounds. It's minus 250. It feels like a solid bet.
All right, and I'm going to go J-Dub 20. I'm going to go big dub game.
You're going to go who 20?
I'm going to go Santa 20, Dylan.
Yes,
whatever.
sir.
Give me Dub 20. I think he has a really solid game. I think he knocks on a few threes. The shot that goes ahead and causes the Spurs timeout where they ultimately empty the bench is going to be a J-Dub 3.
Okay. So, I'm calling a shot. I wish you could bet that specifically. How about the odds?
Yeah, I wonder what the odds would be if I'm like, let me specifically describe this scenario and give me odds. That's the future, is you describe a scenario and someone's like, like minus 829.
All right. I want us to try to get to plus 1,000 just because. So let's do one more leg each.
Okay.
This might surprise you, Cone. I'm riding the hot streak. You can thank me for my article for bringing this man out of his funk. I'm taking Lou Dort for 2 threes made.
I like it.
Just minus 138.
Well.
He's been good. Yeah, he's been good the past couple games. And if he's going to get it going, it's going to be at home, feeding off the crowd. And, everybody, we don't have a lot of traditions at the crowd, but one of the things that we do is we scream Lou whenever he's shooting. So,
yeah. And let me go with let's go Shea 6 assists.
6 assists. Hey, that's been money here lately.
Yeah,
I think.
Let me go Shea 6. I think they're going to do kind of a similar thing where it's going to be, Shea's going to score a lot, but they're going to try and pack the paint. They're going to send doubles. They're going to hedge. They're going to try and get the ball out of Shea's hands. And I think they create a lot more plays out of it after some re-scheming going into the Christmas game and at home. And I think guys are just going to hit more shots. So he had 8 tonight. Give me 6 for Shea.
Okay, there you go. And again, to recap, we got Shea 30, Shea 6 assists. We got iHeart 8 rebounds. We got Dub 20 points, Dort 2 made threes, and the Thunder minus 9.5 spread. All together, can you guess what the odds are, Cone?
We added 2 more things. It's like plus like 1580.
Brother, plus 1586.
Oh my god, that's crazy. I wish here's the phone screen. It's not, FanDuel's not pulled up. Didn't put it in. I was looking at lines, but that's geez. I don't know if that's a problem.
Speaking of FanDuel, I just there we go. I went the whole podcast without that. So that's awesome. We might not get paid for this one.
That's fine. We'll get paid when the play hits. Right.
It's all good. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So tell that for your Top of Thunder parlay, and we will be back on Friday. I don't know who's going to be on here. I know Jerry swears up and down he's going to be on there. I'm putting that out here on the podcast. So if he's not on here, you guys can hammer him at Gerald Amir. He said he will be on here Friday. I myself also plan to be on here. We'll see who else is on here. Kind of discussing the Christmas Day game. And I think we don't play again until Sunday. Is that right? After Christmas?
Yeah. I think it's Sunday. We have a few days off, I believe.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Yeah, Sunday against the Sixers.
Oh, nice.
Finally playing some East teams.
Yeah.
We've played have we played it? When's the last time we played an East team? The Hornets? Is that the only East team we played all season?
I forgot about that. That's when they had the weird court.
Yeah.
I think that's when Shea debuted.
We played the Hawks and the Pacers. We played 3 East teams all season.
Oh, dude, has Shea been doing the 3-point celly anymore?
I feel like not the last few games. I feel like he really pulls it out like when we're, it's been a little bit more up and down. I feel like he pulls that more when we're, he hits that big one that kind of busts it open almost. Like, yeah.
He did do a throwback. I saw him. He was running up the court after he hit a step back three. He did that to the bench. That was
keep it rolling.
That was back the Lakers game that he hit the half court shot, or either that one or the one where he hit 5 threes and 3 in the fourth quarter. He did the same thing. That was a throwback for Shea. So I like him bringing that back. I need to see the go home again. I need to see some go home action, Shea. So yeah. With that being said, I mean, obviously, if we're predicting us to cover the spread, I think we're predicting a W for the Thunder on Christmas Day. Cole in the Spurs stockings, courtesy of Santa. He'll be climbing up that ladder, coming down the chimney, putting some coal in the Spurs stockings. I like that. Had to fully flesh out the analogy. I'm going to go ahead and put out a crazy prediction. I'm going to predict a Shea 40 ball. I think that
feels viable.
Yeah, this kind of reminds me of, not to a lesser extent, but a different extent, to the first game that we had when we played the Nuggets late last season, when the MVP battle was really neck and neck. We wore the black jerseys and we was at home, and it was the first of 2 games that we played with them, and Shea had 40 points as well against Jokic. I think we're going to see that version of Shea on Christmas Day. The world's going to see it, and it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, sounds good to me. I'm down.
All right, man. Well, Cone, I need the Rockets to step up. They are down 14 to the Clippers right now.
I don't know, man.
Why are the Clippers playing good basketball now, man? What's happening?
I mean, they're not really
Who they beat the other night?
They beat the Lakers.
Oh yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. I mean, hey, Rockets and Lakers. Again, perspective, guys. The Rockets and Lakers are 2 of the best teams in the West as well. The Clippers are literally,
we've been so spoiled, man.
Yeah, I think I saw Focus tweeted out the Clippers are the worst team in the Western Conference. We just lost to the second best team in the Western Conference, and the Lakers and the Rockets are losing to these guys. So
yeah, and people are
perspective. Just calm down.
People are freaking out because we lost to the second best team in the Western Conference on the road on the second half of a back-to-back. Good God, guys. We're so spoiled. Most years, a champion will have 4 to 5 bad losses, and because it's just the way the NBA works. But because, this is one of the best teams ever, people are like, oh my God, we lost to we've literally not lost. The only bad team we lost to this season was Portland, and that was against second half of back-to-back with literally not even half the team, but 3/4 of the team injured.
Yeah. And they're a scrappy team. Yeah. I mean, Denny gets to the line better than
he got to the line 47 times. And we're still an Isaiah Joe toenail away from it going to overtime.
Yep. Yeah, it was a full KD moment. So just remember that. Just remember that as you lay down Christmas Eve, you spend time with your family, that the Thunder is still a really good basketball team. And we will, as Joey said, the Nuggets lost tonight to the Mavs as well. Who hasn't lost to the Mavs this year?
The
Wolves, the Blake Shelton thing.
Yeah, the Wolves recently lost to the Grizzlies. Of course, they lost to us earlier in the season. They lost to the Suns twice. They lost to the Sacramento Kings. We're talking about every single team. The Spurs themselves were just recently they were in a pretty close game with the Wizards, and they ended up pulling it off and winning, but it was close down to the end of it. They got their butts kicked by the Knicks in the finals. Like every team, they lost the Cavaliers in pretty convincing fashion, and that's the Cavaliers who have been pretty bad this season. Like, just worried about our Jay. The one thing you cannot be worried about is our future. We literally might get a top 3 pick from the Clippers this season. Like, you cannot be worried about the future.
Hey, I saw Hayden in the chat earlier. AJ Dubbanza literally had a triple-double the other night. Like, and you know what? If you don't get in the top 3, guess what? You got Caleb Wilson there. You got shout out my boys in blue, Jaden Quantance. I don't know if you saw his debut, Cone, but he completely changes the floor and ceiling of this Kentucky team. So
whatever. When we got to Kentucky talk, let's go ahead and wrap it up.
All right. With that being said, go ahead, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out when we go live, like we will on Friday. And find us anywhere you listen to your podcast, Apple, Spotify. Go ahead, subscribe, leave us a 5-star rating, positive review. Do it for Christmas, if nothing else. Even if you don't like us, just do it for Christmas. It would be great. Let that be our gift, your gift to us. So with that being said, hope everybody has a great night. God bless. Hooping.